Joel and Ethan, it's nice to see you guys. Welcome. So many of your films use music in such extraordinary ways, and of course T-Bone's here with you today, and I know you guys worked with him many times, but with this film, it's about musicians and music, obviously. What is it about this sort of time period that you focused on that you found most appealing? Why this moment in time right before Dylan's arrival?
Well, you know, partly because it is right before Bob, you know, it's the scene Bob Dylan walked into. He's not there yet. I think he showed up in New York in 1961, right? Because why before Bob? Because what would you do with Bob? You know, people have made movies about him. Icons just aren't our thing, man. We wouldn't know where to start. It was an interesting community, you know, because it was still a small town before it kind of changed, largely because of Dylan, and became a big commercial thing. It was, as Van Rank described it, it kind of felt like a small town. And you know, anytime you want to make a movie, you want the specificity. You want you want to know what the setting is, kind of what the community is, just to make the story, you know, real somehow. Sure. Knowing something about the setting is important to us, just for getting our minds around thinking about a story.
The Coens, I want to say this, that if any filmmaker in the world came to me and said, we want to make a film, we don't know who's going to do it, but we want it to be about a folk singer in 1960, and he's going to do 3 or 4 minute songs, and we're going to do it without any guide tracks, and we're going to film it all live, I would have said, you should rethink this. You know, don't do it. It's a mistake. But because it was the Coens, I said, oh, okay, let's do it. Because one, they're good. You know, as we all know, they're good. But what you may not know is how lucky they are.
Is that right?
I mean that they are lucky. They're lucky, and this is how lucky they are. They found, you know, there was nobody. It wasn't like there were 10 actors we were choosing Llewyn Davis from.
We saw a lot of singers, hoping we could find someone who could act. And we heard some incredible versions of Hang Me, Oh Hang Me. We saved a lot of them because they were really great. But at a certain point, we thought, you know, we're kind of kidding ourselves because this guy's in every frame of the movie. And we really, I mean, there's certainly singers who became movie stars, but we didn't find one. So, well, we found one, but he's an actor. So we then, and also we were looking for a bit of a different type originally, and it was kind of an interesting lesson in keeping an open mind about the physicality, because even though it's not Dave Van Ronk was a big kind of bear-like guy, and we were sort of thinking that, and anyway, then we saw Oscar. And
the character for you, like just sort of crafting that character and kind of not trying to get the audience to love you all the time.
Well, yeah, he's a guy that is not trying to ingratiate himself or you know, doesn't use traditional means of warmth to connect to people. So that was definitely a challenge to not that he's cool and detached. He actually runs very hot, but he's kind of alienated himself to the point where he's just disconnected. He's a stranger in a strange land. You know, sometimes the loneliest you can feel is when you're in a crowd. And I think that's where he's at, where it's just nothing's connecting. And it was very freeing to not have to, you know, beg anyone for sympathy.
Yeah.
You know, and the only time that he does open up is when he shows that when he plays his songs. A friend of mine sent me this poem, the Bluebird by Charles Bukowski, and I remember that kind of stayed. It was a mantra for me. And the poem starts: "There's a bluebird in my heart that wants to get out, but I'm too tough for him. Wow. So I inhale cigarette smoke and I pour whiskey on him, and the whores and the bartenders never know that he's in there." And you know, by the end of the poem, he says, "I only let him out at night sometimes when everyone's asleep." And I say, you know, I know you're still in there. Yeah. So that's what the music is for Llewyn, is his bluebird.
Your character, it seemed like this must have been kind of fun to put together. Did you pull on some specific characters from music history to kind of formulate?
Just the hair.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, and everybody thought it was a piece. The beard was a piece. The hair was mine. I was the great Jerry Mulligan, baritone sax player, had a very interesting haircut that I've always admired through the years. And I wanted to cop that. That's the only thing I borrowed.
And the walk is fantastic too. I mean, it's just.
That's thank you, Everett Sloan, from the lady from Shanghai. Yeah. I Sloaned my way through the picture.
You know, I felt like I read it and I understood it and I got it. And, you know, they've been my favorite filmmakers ever since Raising Arizona blew my little kid mind. And so and the screaming guy in blue paint over here, you know, and so I felt I understood that tone and I always loved it. And, you know, that just despair and absurdity mixed together. And also being a musician as well, knowing that that's the story of, and not just a musician, but as an actor as well, so many people. I mean, there's incredibly talented people that just things don't fall their way, and that just creates a cycle because that closes someone off, and then they're not open for that next possible little opportunity, and then that closes them off even more, and bitterness sets in, and seeing that happen, and so. I felt like I got it, and I felt like I was ready for it.
This one, we like Oscar's performances at the Gaslight, especially his first performance. It's a specific problem. We shot with 2 cameras, which is a lot for us. That's one more than the norm. It was like, that was like weird. We thought, wow, there's a lot of cameras on this set because there's 2 of them. Because we wanted a lot of coverage, and because you know, we didn't want to have Oscar have to do, you know, 60 takes of the song. 30 was, you know, which he did. I mean, you know, he's not only a good enough performer, but a consistent enough performer such that we could cut between takes and use all the coverage. But, you know, that's, again, a specific problem. We wanted to shoot a whole song and have, especially for the first performance, a lot of coverage so we could start as we did and kind of widen out and keep it interesting.
It seems really cold. Was it cold?
Not really. No. It was actually an unusually warm winter.
No, we had the opposite problem, which was these magnolia trees on Sullivan Street leafing out. We were panicking. We were going, oh, no leaves. No green, no leaves. We were, yeah. And shooting plates for the car stuff. The whole sort of design of the movie was built around, you know, cold, wintry sort of gray skies and bare trees, and it was unusually warm, and we were concerned about that. First of all, the films are funny. They're frightening. They're terrifying. Like, especially you can see John's characters. Every single character John's played in one of their films is horrifying, wildly intelligent, and deeply comedic all at once. And that's, you know, that kind of detail. What I love about it is, you know, when they want to shoot a performer, the detail you can get out of a performance, of seeing a live performer perform, is so much more complex and detailed than what you can get virtually in post-production through using all the technology we have to virtually reproduce a performance. The Coens in this one, it was a show about a musician, so it was important we get as much detail out of the times when that musician was living, which is the time he lived when he played, right? The rest of the time he was existing. As soon as he stopped creating his own future, his own in reality, his own environment, this other reality comes crashing down on him. But you know what I love about the Coen Brothers film? Every frame has history in it. That's what I love about it.
Oh, just in the details and the.
Yeah, every frame has history. It's not like everyone just put the camera over there to get from here to there. There's a reason. You see the intelligence and the history behind every frame.